I can't be quiet anymore. I can't keep watching anymore. What's dear to me is dear to my God. I can't share more tears, I know it's time to fight. It's time to fight. It's time to remove the mask. But once let us be honest. The parents will not stand back. Our children deserve the best. Punish before protecting us. There is the justice in all that. Our voices rise because I love you. Yeah, yeah. We barely listen to our heartbeat. To our heartbeat. It's time to remove the mask. But once let us be honest. The parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. It's time to remove the mask. But once let us be honest. The parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. It's time to remove the mask. But once let us be honest. The parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. It's time to remove the mask. But once let us be honest. The parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. It's time to remove the mask. But once let us be honest. The parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. It's time to remove the mask. But once let us be honest. The parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. The parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. Oh, the parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best.
Well, hello and welcome to a three-way broadcast tonight. I'm so happy to say it's Marchus, Restoring Families, Internet Radio, and myself, Punished for Protecting. And that was my really good friend, Sheila Alam, and she just sang the song she wrote for us, Punished for Protecting. And those words are so amazing. And we're going to be doing this broadcast tonight together in unity, something that is really blessing my heart big time, that we are coming together for the sake of families and children. And I think that's why there's so many enemies out there that are angry, and they're really, really manifesting lately, because they see that so many of us are coming together for this one important cause. This cause that has harmed families more than on a national level, but for us Americans, we have seen the catastrophic events that have occurred, literally the carnage that we have seen, that have harmed our children, our nation's children, the future generations of our families. And without our families, we do not have a nation. And so we must keep fighting. Tonight, we have Brian Lee from Restoring Families Internet Radio. And again, we have Ted Fogg. And we're going to be talking about two separate events, but the importance of these events. These events are representative of our late, great Senator Nancy Scheafer. And as you know, I've been promoting the Washington, D.C. event. So I'm going to have Brian Lee talk a little bit more about that. And then I'm going to have Ted, who so graciously has given us the platform tonight, talk about the first annual Nancy Scheafer event. The one that's the third right now that Brian's been heading off is actually in DC. And then we're going to introduce you guys a little bit more to the first annual one that will be occurring right in Clarkesville, Georgia, where Senator Nancy Scheafer lived, where she trumped this important message and she died. So thank you so much, Sheila. I'd like to have you sing us one more song at intermission. So thank you for being here, and thank you for the song that you wrote from your heart. It is a blessing to so many. Thank you.
You're welcome. You can.
What did you say?
You can take me off the video, I think.
Oh, yes. We need to flip you to Brian now. We're going to put Brian on. I think it'll just show him when.
Okay. You're on. We are on. I'll add myself in as well.
Oh, yeah. We want to see you, too, since we're talking about the Georgia event. So I'm going to go ahead and I know Brian has he's going back to work this evening. We've talked about this. So, Brian, welcome and thank you for being here tonight. And
thank you for having me.
How are we doing so far with the DC? I know we had the T-shirt booster and everything, and why you're doing this.
DC event's coming on very well. I'm actually going back down Monday. I was supposed to do it yesterday, but due to the massive storm that we had, it's causing 60 to 80 mile an hour winds. A lot of the government facilities were actually shut down yesterday. And so, needless to say, the permit section of the National Park Police was also shut down. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to get down there to finalize all the details with them for this event. But the event is going to be along the National Mall. We're keeping the actual location secret at this time due to we do know that there are individuals out there, groups that are actually trying to destroy what we're trying to do and getting 50-50 as well as reform of the system. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to get down there to finalize all the details with them. Yep, somebody got some echo. Along the National Mall. We're keeping the actual location.
That would be coming from Sheila, I believe.
You know that there are individuals out there, groups that are actually trying to destroy.
All right, let me see here.
She may need to mute her own system. She must be watching it.
So,
there we go. All right.
Okay,
all right, there we go. So, yeah, so we're keeping the location secret at this time. It will be somewhere along the National Mall in between the Lincoln Memorial or the Capitol building. So it's, if you're coming to the event, just, go up and down the National Mall. You'll eventually see us. I will be there at 7 a.m. to do the setup process. The event actually starts at 9 a.m. So, we're going to be playing music. We got several people coming out to do performances. One is Joyce. She's going to be singing her newly founded written song called Nancy. We're also going to be have the presence of April McCracken and a few of her friends who are also going to be doing a performance. Anybody who wishes to speak, they have the opportunity to have their voices be heard. We're not turning anybody away because everybody has to have their voices heard. So if you want to speak and you're coming out to the event, you will have your chance. I will have a logbook of everybody shows up and a second one to where everybody who wants to speak, and we're just going to go down that line. If we get important people such as our legislators and congressmen, if they come out, they will also have their opportunity to speak. And, if we have to, we'll jump them in the midst of everybody else. But they will have their voices as well be heard. That's
great. That's actually amazing. And you've done this now. This is going to be your third year doing this.
That's correct.
And I'm really, really glad that you're doing it because it's very important. And I know that I've been kind of surprised sometimes because people don't know who she is many times. I've ran into advocates that have been advocating for many years and don't know who Senator Nancy Scheafer is. And actually, I'm going to have something posted in a minute here, but Nancy was very instrumental and very vocal about the violence caused by CPS. People know that as Child Protective Services. I call it Child Predator Services. And I'm happy to see when people want to keep her legacy alive, and that we are the generation that's actually keeping her legacy alive, Brian.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Unfortunately, it's not letting me comment to the. Oh, here it goes. Okay, I'm actually going to post a link to the DC event right now. if it'll allow me. Let's see if it'll do. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, it just allowed me to post it, so everybody should be able to go to the actual event page. We will be doing live feeds directly from the event all day long, starting at 9 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Okay, and we want to make it very perfectly clear to the viewers so that they know that there's two distinct events and they're on two separate days, so you can go to both events, and we encourage you to go to both events. I'm excited to hear that Joyce is able to go to both events. She will be performing at both events. I'm unfortunately going to only be able to go to the one in Georgia this time because my schedule doesn't permit. I would have been happy to go to both. But I will be in DC in September. So if you could just for clarification, Brian, just let everybody know the exact date. I know the exact location is still under wraps a little bit, but the exact date for yours.
The exact date is March 26, 2018. It's a Monday, and it's going to be happening from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Now, we're asking for donations in order to get a grand stage. You know, unfortunately, you know, I don't care about money, but it costs money in order to get such equipment, in order to put on such an event. Right now, we don't have enough to get the stage, so we're going to do like we've done in previous years. We're going to have a banner up front with the podium behind it. And we're able to get some of the equipment thanks to those who donated and also purchased a 3rd annual Nancy Scheafer shirt. Yeah. So we actually sold 54, which I'm very pleased. And we did make $270 in donations.
That's great. Wow. That's great. Good. So that'll help out somewhat, and hopefully donations will still keep coming in.
Absolutely. And if anybody wants to donate to help get more equipment and help get the stage, you know, they can actually contact me through Facebook. There is actually a Facebook money transfer that you can do directly to the individual, and there's no third party involved. It's straight from you to the other person. So if anybody wants to donate, they can contact me directly and do it that way. And, you know, any funds that come in would be appreciated. You know, this right here, every piece of the equipment that we get through donations is for the movement. It's not for Truth Exposed. It's not for Restoring Families. It's for the entire movement in its entirety. You know, like I said, I live 30 minutes north of DC. So any event that happens in DC, the equipment will be there for use. Because, you know, when it comes to permits, you know, you have to have wire covers to cover wires. You know, you can't have wires be sticking out all over the place. So we just ordered a set of 9 wire covers to go from the canopies to where the actual staging is going to be for where the speaker is going to be at. We're ordering new canopies, all same color. We're trying to be uniformity here. We're trying to look very, very professional. That's why we're trying to get the grand stage. That's why we're trying to get all the same color items, and why we're trying to make this as a safe and pleasant event for everybody. Because, you know, especially for Nancy Scheafer, you know, she spoke so highly for children's rights, for parents' rights, for grandparents' rights, for the entire family's rights. And, you know, we got to do her right. And if you want to help with that cause, you know, just, you know, get a hold of me and we can figure out how we can transfer funds for donations wise in order to get this grand stage. And a lot of people have asked me, how much is the stage? I said, it's $2,500 and it's free shipping. So yeah, $2,500. And it's a very, very nice stage. You know, it sits roughly about 16 inches off the ground. It's got 2 stairs that go on each side, as well as railings to go around the back. And, you know, if we get more, yeah, exactly. So if we get more.
That's a good height, actually. I hate those high stages, the 4-foot ones. I mean, I don't hate them. The stage in Pitts Park is actually, it's 4 feet. But the one, I don't know if you remember, and I wish they had something like that in DC for us. It would make our life so much easier. But remember the Mother of All Rallies, how high that stage was? That was like 20 feet high.
Yeah, that was actually a truck platform,
right?
That was brought in on a trailer. We're not looking for this. This that we're getting, it's 12 by 8. So it's cool. Literally 3 sections of 8 by 4. And you just slap them together, hook them together, clip them together, and then, you know, put the skirt around it. Like literally, this is a very nice stage that we're trying to get. And like I said, it's not just for Restoring Families or Truth Exposed or me. It's for everybody in the movement. Even if I can't attend an event down in DC due to work purposes, you know, because I'm only limited so many hours of vacation time, but the equipment can still be used down in at the DC, even Maryland, Virginia events.
That's great. Is Mark helping you out with that? Because Mark has the Father's Day, Mother's Day, Parents' Day, Grandparents' Day that he does every year.
Yes, he's actually helping me. He's helping promote to bring donations in order to get this grand stage. And
awesome.
You know, like I said, it's only 12 by 8, so it's a small stage, but that's all you need. You don't need a massive stage for this type of thing, unless we're going to have the millions of people out there. By then we'll have like the church group that did an event down there last year, you know, during the summertime. You know, that's when you have such a grand, you know, massive stage.
Right.
But yeah, we're only expecting maybe 1,000 people, if not maybe a few more than that, you know, show up to DC. We would love to get the millions of people out there. We really, you know, because there's millions of families. Yeah, there's millions of families going through this. That means there's billions of individuals facing this corruption.
Right. And if you make it to Georgia on the 25th on Sunday, it's a little less than an 8-hour drive back to DC. And so if somebody's coming up from the south, if they feel really inspired, Ed Elliott is taking Joyce and Thomas, Charles and somebody else, and
like 12 people actually.
Yeah, he has like a bus, and they're beelining it straight to DC from Clarkesville, Georgia. So if you feel compelled to keep rallying for Nancy Scheafer, you'll be able to follow Ed Elliott up to DC.
For those who are actually coming into DC, who are driving in, my best advice is to park and get a hotel outside the city, because during the weekday it is horrendous. Traffic is literally ridiculous. So I highly recommend getting a hotel outside the city. It's actually cheaper outside the city, and as well as parking. You can park at the metro stations and get a $15 pass. It's an all-day pass to where you can take metro right into it. And actually, there's 2 stations that are right there at the National Mall, so you can get off right at the National Mall. You know, get up to the ground level, and you can find us from there. It's very simple. If you're coming into DC, you know, there is some parking alongside the roads, but it is, you know, you do have to pay for it. And it's only from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. If you park there beforehand, you'll get towed. If you park there afterwards, you get towed. There are parking garages. However, if you do not have your car out of the or have your vehicle out of the parking garage by 7 p.m., you are stuck in DC until the next morning.
Yeah, it's a pain up there sometimes. Mark and I were driving around trying to find a space one day, and we ended up parking like 12 blocks away to where we needed to go. You know, it's hard, and a lot of the spaces that are open are permitted parking. They're like, I found a space, and you pull in, there's no meter, it's a permit. You can't park there, you'll get towed.
Well, just like last year when a lot of people parked on either side of the Ulysses S. Grant statue. Sorry, during the weekend it's free to park there. However, during the weekday, it's permitted parking only for those who actually work in the Capitol building. So do not park there, ladies and gentlemen. You will get towed if you park there on Monday. I promise you, you will get towed because it's permit parking only.
Right. I'm glad the dates worked out, because doing this in Clarkesville on a Monday, on the actual day that Nancy Scheafer was murdered, didn't really make sense in a smaller town. It didn't make sense to me. I want the local people to be able to hear us. We're going to be right outside of town in Pitts Park. And, oops. Hold on a second. Camera's just, let me get rid of this other camera. And Brian is back. Oh, and the camera just went away, and now I have to put this one back on.
Yeah, so, Amanda, I can't pronounce your last name, but she said that they went up in July and the parking was more than her hotel. So yes, park outside the city, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, it'd be a lot cheaper for every single one of you. And I encourage everybody to carpool. Carpool is key in this fashion.
And we didn't have a chance to talk and organize, but having this on Sunday so the local people can hear us and come after church, because this will be all day. You can show up at 7 in the morning. I'll be there. But it's pretty much the same, 9 to 5. And then having yours on Monday, it works out beautifully. It couldn't have worked out better for people who want to go to both events. I know it's hard. There's people from New England that I wish would go to Georgia, but you know, the extra 8 hours. It's 16 hours for me to get to Georgia, 8 hours for me to get to DC. So,
yeah.
But there'll be a lot of people we haven't met at events in the past coming to Georgia. There hasn't been a large event that far south in quite a while. Not something like this. There's been smaller ones like the one I did in Tampa, and I know Connie had an event in Sarasota a while back, but there's nothing quite this big this far south. So I'm really excited to meet some new people and get more voices for us. We need more.
I'm actually excited that a Georgia event has been put together.
I wish
especially
you could go.
in the hometown of Nancy Scheafer. If I was able to, I would, but unfortunately with the event on Monday, Sunday is the last day for prep. I'm actually taking that day off from work in order to, I'm actually going to be meeting up with 2 individuals. We're actually in my backyard. I got this long field in my backyard. We're going to set everything up there in preparation for Monday. Exactly.
Good. Yeah, I have to do a similar thing here, but just to clarify, Turnersville is the town that she lived, and it's a town just north of Clarkesville. It has a tiny post office about the size of this room, and like 5 churches, and all the roads in Turnersville, they're beautiful. They're just like New England, except they put like an interstate right through it, so you blink and you're past it. Clarkesville is kind of the hub of the area. There's really nice restaurants, movie theater, old-timey movie theater, and like I said, the town is right there. Pitts Park is at the bottom of this hill, right on the edge of town. So while we're going, people like Joyce are performing and Billy, the whole town will be able to hear us. And I'm really, really excited to have local people here and come by and meet us. And anything you do the first time in a town like this, it's hard to get help with promotion, but we do have an individual, Martha Nichols, who will be putting an ad in 5 different papers in 5 different counties in the area. Habersham, White County, Rayburn, and one other. So that's so great. And she's actually tomorrow she's going to be taking some video of Pitts Park and some other areas that I can share with everybody on Monday. It's really going to be fantastic, and I we'll have the 360 camera going for safety, and then a really nice semi-professional camera live streaming the speakers as well. So if you can't make it, then at least you'll be able to see it. And then after the event, like Francesca, I wish I could go to DC, but I'm only then 8 hours away from my son in Florida, so I'll be traveling south directly after the event to see my son.
Yeah.
But I could always stop by in DC and say hi to you, Brian. I know where you work even.
Yep.
I'm actually going to be flying back with a couple of the team members, so unfortunately I can't get to DC, and I'm taking my son this time. So you all get to meet my son.
Oh, that's great.
He needs to get right back to school. Otherwise, I would so be there. And there's so many times I wish I could be everywhere. But unfortunately,
don't we all?
Yeah, especially with all these different cases that are going on. It's like you just wish you could be at all of them, But I just really think it's really good that this is happening, that there's 2, back-to-back events for Nancy Scheafer. And, we're getting ready to do some more protesting. We're about to start showing different things that we can do, hopefully, right after this event, start, focusing on to bring more and more awareness and bring more and more attention to this whole crisis that's happening in our nation.
There is another event coming up on April 2nd down in Topeka, Kansas, with Jennifer Wynn and a bunch of others. Unfortunately, Raymond Swab's not going to be there. He's actually down in doing some relief from the hurricane. So he will not be there. Yeah. But Jennifer Wynn, as well as Raymond Swab, they're actually typing up a speech for the DC event, and either myself or whoever wishes to speak on behalf of them, they will be able to read directly from their speech. We're also working on possibly maybe getting them live feed on Facebook in order for them to be able to do so.
Nice.
Great. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome. So fortunately, we didn't have to go through all the trouble that Brian's been having to go through to get an actual stage, and a stage that you're going to be able to use over and over again. So I'm really praying that you get all the donations you need for that. we have a stage right in the park, right? Is that what's going on? So we're
you can see it. It's right
this time around.
Yeah, it in the background of me, there's the stage right there. Opposite the stage on the other end of the park is a playground for kids. It's a beautiful park.
Yeah.
I'm really amazed at the facilities. The only thing they don't have there, which kind of sucks, is internet. But you know, it was
we can do the hotspots off of our phones and stuff.
It'll be fine. And Ed is gonna donate one of his phones. Nina, I think his wife or girlfriend, I never asked him, but so I'll be able to live stream to the cameras at the same time. That'll be great.
Yeah, I'll be doing the same thing. Nice. Not from my I'll probably doing live feeds from my phone as well, but I actually going to be doing straight from my computer. I'm actually going to be hooking up to a Wi-Fi hotspot while down there. And so I'll actually have a camera, an actual camera, video camera. It's actually going to be pointing at the stage from the tent area, from the canopy section, where we're going to be controlling all the sound and everything for this year's event. So it's going to be big. We're actually going to be doing straight from Restoring Families Internet Facebook page.
That's great.
If I do live feeds with Raymond or Jennifer, it will be from my personal page.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually one thing. I used to have one of those blue topped canopies, but I left it out a couple winters ago, and the snow collapsed it.
Well, unfortunately, at the DC Million Parent March this year, due to the wind, it kind of damaged my blue canopy, and
bummer.
I'm actually getting a couple brand new canopies, black canopies, to match the stage color, as well as other things that people are bringing as well. So if anyone wants to bring a canopy, you can bring blue. You can bring your own color. We don't care, but we're trying to get it all uniformity. So if you can, try to get either blue or black.
Yes, and if you have one you can bring to Georgia, if you go into the Georgia event, we could use one for the cameras and the sound stuff and everything as well. I was just thinking about that today and remembering how beautiful it was to have a canopy before the snow collapsed it. I used to use it for work all the time back in the day. But it's been we're coming up onto an hour. I know you said you wanted to keep this short, Francesca, but it's completely up to you, and I know Brian has to work. But it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Brian. I know it's been a while, and hopefully in the future you and I can coordinate things like this more and talk more and
possibly we can do another one of these right before the events just to keep the momentum going, keep people.
Absolutely. On Restoring Families Internet Radio, we're actually going to be doing a segment in a couple weeks based upon Just of Nancy Scheafer. It's going to be a great event. We're actually going to be playing a few of her clips. One is about 14 minutes long of her actually talking about her report that she did in 2007.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about. It's really good. And the thing I like about that speech, that address, is she mentions all aspects of family law reform, including family court. I know she didn't talk a lot about the Title 4D aspect of this, but it's all symbiotic. You can't have a family court with jurisdictions over families and not have CPS with jurisdiction. It's really like, to be successful, we're going to have to stop all aspects of family law. Nobody should have jurisdiction over families. According to Kirk Pendergrass, it's right in the Constitution that they don't, the way he interprets it. And we're moving forward. Things are happening. The Buchanan bill, session speeches about the lower courts creating their own legislation, bypassing the legislative process. We're making strides. And the more we work together, and I'm really happy that Brian and I are working together again. Or hopefully in the future, the more we come together, put past differences aside, the faster and more successful we will become.
Absolutely.
And a lot of us will not stop until we're successful. So
absolutely. I do want to let the people know, if you still want to order a Nancy Scheafer shirt, it's going to be $35 now. It's more expensive than it was during the booster event because you have to worry about, other aspects. So shipping and handling is also more. If you want it within a week, It's going to cost roughly about $9 for shipping and handling. If you want it within 2 to 3 days, it's close to $15 for shipping and handling. So if you still want to order a shirt, get a hold of me. If you want to donate, get a hold of me, and we can definitely make that happen. If you're not on my personal page, you can get a hold of me through Restoring Families Internet Radio, and we can make that happen.
Yeah, and the Georgia event shirts here will be available at the event. I'll have them there. I just got them. And by the way, bolt printing.
You did get them. Okay.
I did finally get them. Bolt printing is awesome. I had to cancel my other order with Ooh Shirts. They don't have a phone number. It was a mess. Complete. I ordered them a month ago and they never showed up. And finally, I used bolt printing. 3 days later, I had them. So I was worried that I wasn't going to have any shirts. But it's nice. It's nice when you go to an event and you have something to remember it. I have. You know what? I think it's right there. Let me go grab it. I have last year's Nancy Scheafer event shirt right here. It is. It's wrinkly. Sorry, I didn't fold it.
Oh, this is nice too. Nice.
Here it is from 2017.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Frank, can you show the new shirts this year by chance?
So I'm not in my own profile right now. That's why when you said to share it, I can only do it via chat.
If you send it to Francesca, I'm in her profile, so send it right now and I'll pick it up.
That would be great. And I was just going to say, too, I have something I would like to read, but I'll wait till you guys are through with showing the shirts.
I'll send it to you in private message, Fran. I'll actually send you the actual picture itself.
So Ted'll grab it, actually.
Yep.
Just open it up and grab it.
I'm just waiting. I have her message open.
So while you're doing that, if you don't mind, I did want to read this since I know we're going to try to keep this within an hour tonight. We were talking earlier about captivity, the definition of captivity. And the definition of captivity is the condition of being imprisoned or confined. Okay, imprisoned or confined. And we were talking about how what CPS does is actually domestic terrorism. And so off of this, it actually says that it's traditionally been a form of kidnapping. In the 1970s, with the rise of terrorism, it's now considered a terrorist act. Here in the U.S., Title 18 of the U.S. Code 1203 is the Hostage Taking Act. It states, A, except as provided in subsection B of this section, whoever, whether inside or outside the United States, seizes or detains and threatens to kill, injure, or continue to detain another person in order to compel a third person or a governmental organization to do or abstain from doing any act as an explicit or implicit condition for the release of the person detained, or attempts to or conspires to do so, shall be punished by imprisonment for any term of years or for life, and if the death of any person results, shall be punished by death or life imprisonment. And you know, I think that my interpretation of that is very clear, that it is indeed CPS an act of terrorism because they're not following due process. The judges are rubber stamping or not stamping anything. There's no warrant. They just come in the house, they snag these kids. You know, I always call it like shoot now and explain your damages later. And as we know, it just goes on and on. And then when you listen to Nancy Scheafer, and maybe, you know, I don't know if you want to roll some kind of a clip of hers or something, but if you listen to Nancy Scheafer, and we've played it too, Brian, she's very clear about it. It is a market. They're stealing children. They're selling children. Yes, it's all.
Well, what a lot of people don't know is Nancy Scheafer was actually in the process of writing a book as well as doing a documentary that were never finished because of her death. She was also supposed to speak on the West Lawn of the Capitol building 2 weeks after her death. So, you know, there's a lot of speculations that I have. And one of the speculations, and it's one of the primary speculations that I have, is that the Clinton family had some dealings with this murder of Nancy Scheafer and her husband, you know, because she was actually exposing the Clinton family in the whole aspect of the title, of the 1997 Safe Families Act bill that was written by none other than Hillary Clinton and passed into law by President Bill Clinton. So, there's a lot of speculation on that, and we're actually demanding a new investigation be brought into this. We all know that Hillary was just indicted. Thank God.
Thank God.
About time. But hopefully we can reopen a case into Nancy Scheafer's death, including her husband. It's a proven fact that the caliber of gun that the husband owned was not the same caliber that neither one of them were shot with. And for them to call it a murder suicide, who's going to turn a gun on themselves in the chest and shoot themselves in the chest? It's unlikely, because one, you're shooting yourself in the chest up here. Okay.
Right,
your heart's actually, your heart is actually in the center, right, underneath the rib cage. Why do you think they tell you when they do CPR to take two fingers from the center of the chest plate and go two fingers down? Because that's where your heart's really at. All your vital organs are down in where your stomach is at, not up in your chest. So you're only giving yourself a sucking chest wound, which, you're eventually going to die from it, but you're not going to die from it right off the bat. You're going to bleed out unless somebody finds you. Right. So there's a lot of inconsistencies in the investigation of their murder.
It is interesting that they seem to have a very happy relationship. They had a number of children and grandchildren. It doesn't add up. It just doesn't.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
When they say there's something that's such a high level of suspicion, you should really check into it, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So we will have copies of her report from 1997. I'm sorry, from 2007. At the rally, so you'll be able to get a copy of it. Nice. If you so wish. We'll have other materials down there. Some people bringing flyers. I actually got pamphlets of different things that we did with Truth Exposed, and so there'll definitely be some educational material down there as well.
Well, if you'd like, I can end with one of Nancy Scheafer's short speeches.
That would be great. I just want to, if you don't mind, real quick, I just want to let everybody know, because I'm seeing the questions coming through. Tomorrow evening, Sunday, March the 4th, we're going to be having a private Zoom meeting for anybody that is going to Georgia, to the Georgia event, which is March 25th. Okay.
And it's the same phone number and ID that's up there right now.
Yeah, so please get it off the screen right now. Okay. It will make it easier for all of us, so you're not asking this at the last minute.
Right.
And please take the numbers off of here, and you can help others that may be wanting to hop on. That's for carpooling. We have a campground, so that's very helpful to people.
I'm staying in a treehouse.
We're staying in a treehouse. Are you going to your treehouse? They actually do have tree houses.
They have tree houses, yeah. I'm staying with Ed in a treehouse.
Oh, there you go. Okay, and it's actually beautiful. I mean, for those of you that like the woods and the lakes and all that kind of stuff, it's gorgeous. And so, and we figure we can all be together. We can sing Kumbaya around the campfire, and it should be a really nice time. I will be doing a book signing, believe it or not, when are we getting there? The 24th. So we're going to be Billy Fisher, who's with the Fight for Lily Foundation. He's going to be doing a 3-hour. We're going to be doing a 3-hour teaching in the conference center at the camp that we're going to tell you guys more about, because we're still, I don't have it in front of me right now, and I'm sorry about that. But so I'll be doing a training class, all combined with a meet and greet and a book signing. Awesome. So definitely come on out, and do that. And that'll be the night before the Nancy Scheafer event. And it's going to be on how to get CPS the hell out of your life. Okay. Because that's what we want. We want them out completely.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Great. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Francesca, for having us both on your show.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's definitely an honor.
It's been an honor for me.
So here is Nancy Scheafer.
Well, my name is Nancy Scheafer, and I'm from the state of Georgia in the United States. And thank you for your gracious invitation to join you tonight. And thanks to all of you who have made this incredible World Congress of Families #5 in Amsterdam possible. It's a privilege for me to join you tonight and to be with you in some pro-family policy here. I will share with you on the unlimited power of Child Protective Services. I served in the Georgia State Senate, and after 4 years of viewing the ruthless and unsparing actions of Child Protective Services, also called CPS, which I will use tonight, I wrote a scathing report entitled "The Corrupt Business of Child Protective Services." Thank you. The report cost me my Senate seat. Here's some copies of the report, if you'd like to get one. However, there are causes worth losing over, and this is one. I'm going to talk about some of the problems and then some realistic, maybe, solutions for families and children, and maybe look to some steps that we can take. This is not to say that there are not those children in wretched situations who need to be removed. There are, and we all agree. But tonight, I'm talking about those children removed from their homes intentionally for profit. Children are seized unnecessarily from their families due to the federal aid created in 1974 entitled the Adoption and Safe Families Act. It offers financial incentives to the states that increase adoption numbers. To receive the adoption incentives or bonuses, local CPS must have more children. They must have more merchandise to sell. Funding is available when a child is placed in a foster home with strangers or placed in a mental health facility and medicated, usually against the parents' wishes. Parents are victimized by the system that makes a profit for holding children longer and bonuses for not returning children to their parents. This is abuse of power. It is lack of accountability, and it is a growing criminal political phenomenon spreading around the globe. Oftentimes, but not always, poor parents are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire an attorney or fight the system. Being poor and lacking proper housing does not mean your children should be removed. CPS has redefined poor to mean psychologically inferior. Therefore, it is in the best interest of the child to be removed. Best interest, of course, has also been redefined at the child's expense. It has been reported over and over that 6 times as many children die in foster care than in the general public. Once a child is legally kidnapped and placed in official safety, the child is far more likely to suffer abuse, including sexual molestation and/or rape. Case workers and social workers are often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence, and they seek wrongly to terminate parental rights while being protected by state immunity. There is a huge bureaucracy made up of judges, court-appointed attorneys, guardian ad litems, social workers, state employees, court investigators, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on, who are looking to the children in state care for their job security. Judges have control over private living arrangements and income of 48.3 million Americans. The United States Census Bureau reported in 2002 that $40 billion in transfer payments were made between households of custody parents and other parents. That money, $40 billion, is under the direction and control of family court judges in environments covered with confidentiality laws that protect the wrong people. Fathers are victims of this unjust system. Child support payments, even without having visits with their children, are choking the very life out of fathers. 3 fathers, of whom I am aware and have been in touch with, committed suicide in the last 12 months because they lost the opportunity to even visit with their children. These are crimes against humanity for financial gain. Rights are removed from parents, human rights, civil rights, and even religious rights. One illustration of what took place in my district is that after so many calls, I decided to call a meeting in one of the counties of my own district. I personally called 37 families that had been in touch with me who had all lost their children, grandchildren. I had them meet me in the library one Saturday morning. We started at 9 o'clock and we ended at 9 o'clock. We had 50 families standing outside the door that could not get in. We didn't have time to talk with them. There was incredible anguish and profound suffering from these families. Some children had been taken off the school bus, taken out of the hospitals, or taken out of their homes in the middle of the night, and even worse. It was just an incredible ordeal. These parents, trapped in the system, become like refugees. They're dazed and glazed and have no one of whom to turn. They do not know what to do, and the loss of their children is devastating. After having worked in this arena for several years, I do not believe that a single child comes out whole after having been in this system. Many foster children make up the homeless population of today. I introduced legislation, Senate Bill 415, in my last session. A substitute bill was written at the last minute by the chairman of the Judicial Committee. All the strong points of my bill had been compromised. I was told, accept it, Senator. At least you will get some legislation passed. And I answered with, obviously, you do not know me. I did not come to the Capitol to get legislation passed. I came to make a difference. What can be done? An independent audit should be called on every state of all Child Protective Services departments. I'm in touch with congressmen and state officials, and the door may be possibly opening very slowly. A federal congressional hearing is needed. But let me add, due to the hundreds upon hundreds of cases that I've been called to consider, I placed calls to state senators, representatives in their respective states across the country, asking them to help me with certain families. And I was told, if I help that family, or if I help you, I will lose my job. Remove, abolish the federal and state financial incentives, and those are taxpayer dollars. Those dollars have turned CPS into a business that takes children and separates families for money. Open family court. Remove the confidentiality laws. Give parents their rights verbally and in writing. I even feel that to terminate the rights of parents, the case should be heard before a jury. Family rights and parents' rights must be protected. We do not need more influence like the UN's Convention on the Rights of the Child. It's anti-parent, anti-child, and anti-common sense for the family. There has to be perseverance for any great reform, and great reform is needed in this area. As Charles Spurgeon put it, how do you tame a lion that is well fed? First, he must be brought down. Second, his stomach must be lowered. How do you tame Child Protective Services? It may be only by closing it completely and starting over at the beginning with pro-family values. In closing, let me remind you that there is case law from state appellate and federal district courts and up to the United States Supreme Court, all of which affirm the constitutionality of the rights of parents to actually be parents to their children. There's biblical law too. It goes like this: speak up for those who can't speak for themselves, and for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. Thank you.
There she was. We still actually have a little bit of time, don't we? Oh.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. So I was able to put up the image of the shirt, Brian's shirt. Here it is again. It's right over my face. That's the back of the shirt, I'm assuming, with Nancy Scheafer and the Capitol in the background in white.
That's correct. In the front of the shirt, it's actually got Restoring Families all in black.
Okay, great. Let me see if I have that.
How do you tame?
Whoops. Sorry. Sometimes things get away from me. But, so there's that shirt. The shirt for the Georgia event is right here. Now you can't see it because I have the image in front. But it's that same emblem I have on my profile picture. And then Francesca's book signing.
The night before. So there's actually 3 events then.
Right. It's
so the
right
night before is going to be held right at the campgrounds, conference center. And everybody's welcome to come. And 3-hour class and meet and greet and book signing all in one. And then the next day, he's trying to show the shirt. Mm-hmm. And then the next day would be the Nancy Scheafer event at the park. And then the following day, you guys head over to Washington, D.C. and go to the 3rd annual. So you got a whole weekend full of things to do.
Right. And you have it's an easy trip because there's already people going, so you can just convoy, put on that song. I love that old song called Convoy. Wonder if I could find it. Then the video would get deleted if I played it, though.
So, yeah.
So let's see. We still have... so one issue that isn't quite resolved in Georgia is lunch. How we're going to handle either bringing people on, collecting lunch money and somebody going out and getting lunch. What are you doing for that, Brian? Any ideas or suggestions there? I don't remember what we...
Yeah, I suggest everybody bring, some money for food. There are venues along the sides of the roads, as well as huts throughout the National Mall where you can actually get food.
Yep.
So I suggest at least for one individual, at least have $20 for food. We do plan on, if everybody can, we might be able to maybe get some pizza or something if anybody wants to chip in.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to look into bringing a concession on site. I've seen pictures during some of the events at Pitts Park where they had a concession stand selling food. I'm going to look into that because why not? You know, it's a Sunday. They could make a few bucks.
Sure.
Well, just be careful of that. Make sure if you're going to have such a venue at your event, make sure you got a permit for it.
Right.
Because if not, you can get shut down.
Yep. Yeah. The way the permits there are a little bit different than DC. It's a little bit more relaxed, but I had to put down a $125 deposit. As long as we don't trash the place, I'll get that back. So let's keep it clean. And then the electricity.
I'll chase him around with a baseball bat, and I'll tell him, make sure you clean up after yourselves.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be responsible for their own trash.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll be bringing extra trash bags, but there's trash on site, of course, and the electric. Also, you have to pay a deposit for the electric as well.
Okay.
So I've done all that. So it's a different setup, and all I have is a receipt for the deposit, and that's my permit.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say some of the things we were talking about, and I was talking about with Amanda regarding doing it at the campgrounds like that, is that we're going to pick up some groceries, really, and maybe just and then cook there, you know, possibly do some fishing while we're there. You know, it's all there. So that's what I'm doing.
That'd be great if somebody went fishing and did a big old fish fry for us.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Speaking of permits, here's a permit for DC right here.
Nice.
There you go.
It's literally it's so many pages. It's like 20 pages right here.
Yep. I know.
But, our permit's already been approved. We put in a basic one, but this right here is the final version of it. It's got all the equipment, including the stage. If we're able to somehow, get funding within the next week, by the end of this Friday, if we can get to $25,000 in donations, we can make it happen. So yeah, it's literally, I even because there's so much gear, I had to do a separate page. I had to attach a page to it. Where is it at? Here it is. For list of gear, if everybody can see it, list of gear. That's all the gear we're bringing. That includes the generators, the canopies, the wire covers, tables, chairs, banners. Because of the organization, we have to name everything that we're bringing. However, if anybody else wants to bring a banner or a sign, their own chair, they're more than welcome to. So chairs and banners and everything, they really don't have mind, but it's the canopies. We put extra canopies on there, so we got a total of 6 canopies all together. So if anybody wants to bring an extra one, they're more than welcome to. I know I'm bringing 2, so we have room for 4.
Yep. Yeah, the interesting thing about the permit process in DC is you apply for a permit, you have the application, but you don't actually get the physical permit to, for 2 weeks ahead of time. So if they wanna, like if Trump wanted to have an event himself at your specific location, well, Trump trumps you, and you don't actually get your permit.
Yeah, we can get shut down at any particular moment. And a lot of people go, well, why do you need a permit? Because isn't it our First Amendment right to have rallies and protests, et cetera? Yes. Right. However, the permits, they're good for one purpose that I believe in. It protects the organization. It protects the people that are in attendance, because if somebody wants to come up and cause a problem, all we got to do is dial up a number and be like, look, this person's causing a problem. Can you please escort them off the premises?
Right.
And they have to, by permit use, they have to come and escort that individual off the premises. So they are, good reasons to permits. Whether we have one or not, we're still going to do it. But we do it just to protect myself, protect the Restoring Families, Truth Exposed, and all those who are involved, and everybody that shows up. So it's a safety mechanism for all of us.
Right. You have to get the permit, you either have to go through the Capitol Police for Capitol grounds or the Park Police for park grounds on the mall. And then they know you're there. I mean, that's part of the reason for the permit, is so the police, law enforcement knows you're there, and to keep an eye on you, make sure you're safe. And in DC, that's a good thing.
And that's the one thing about DC, ladies and gentlemen. You can literally be standing in one section and you're in one jurisdiction. You take a step to the right or left or forward or backwards, and you're in a totally different jurisdiction. Right. So it's very confusing sometimes. And I put on many events down in DC, so I'm very well entrenched with many members of these organizations with these departments. So they know who I am, and luckily for that, we were able to continue to do what we did on during the Million Parent March. Because if it wasn't for me knowing the individual personally, we could have got kicked out of there within seconds. But they allowed us to have what we did during the Million Parent March, and I'm very grateful for that park ranger for allowing us to stay there.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
So.
Well, guys,
good.
A successful episode of Punished for Protecting Live.
Mm-hmm. Punished for Protecting combo. The combo. 3 in 1.
Right.
It was very good. It was very enjoyable. So I'm personally very excited for these events. Yes. And I know a lot of people are, and it's really nice to see people with all this hope. We're excited about getting together for these events. Coming together. Let's not forget, you guys can call in tomorrow, or you can Zoom in tomorrow and get with us tomorrow. Get your carpooling going. You can also find out about the campgrounds tomorrow night, as we're arranging that for the Georgia event. And also, if you need to get a hold of Brian Lee, they can do that on Restoring Families Internet Radio Facebook page, right? Or right off your personal page on Facebook, Brian Lee.
That's correct. They can either find me on Facebook. It's got the same picture as me. This is my studio. You should be able to see me see my picture like that. You could also locate me on Restoring Families Internet Radio. We do shows every Thursday night and every Sunday night. Tomorrow's show, we're working on something big. Hopefully the person doesn't back out, because right now they're being kind of skittish. But we'll have that information up as soon as we can get it from this individual. If not, we're going to be doing an open mic talking about Nancy Scheafer.
Cool. And if you have any questions about the Georgia event, you can call me, but I really get bogged down with messages and emails. So I'm doing the Live at 5. I brought back the Live at 5 every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you have any questions, tune in, and I'll answer everything I can. And some of these loose ends, like lunch and stuff like that, will be taken care of course. We have, 4 more weeks? Yeah, today is
less than 4 weeks.
3 weeks.
It's less than 4 weeks. It's just over 3 weeks.
Yep, just over 3 weeks. We're all
3 weeks from tomorrow.
Yep.
3 weeks from tomorrow. Yeah. Well, 3 weeks from today for me. I'm going to be there on the 24th.
Right. I guess I'm going to be there probably Thursday night. So.
All right. So we will see you there in the treehouse.
Right. I'm definitely staying there Friday night, and most likely Saturday as well. But I'll end this at let's see, with your opener ending video, if you'd like, Francesca.
Sounds great. And again, thank you, Chila Alam, for being on and singing our song, Punished for Protecting. I do believe she's actually going to be bringing down some discs for that, too, if anybody wants to get a copy.
Oh, awesome.
I know a lot of people have asked for the song. So again, thanks so much, Ted. Thank you so much, Brian. It's been really fun. And
it's been a pleasure.
It has. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
You too.
Just please stop yelling at me, please.
Call 911 now!